Welcome to the neutral zone. Well, this is certainly a first, isn't it, Stomps? We are here with a special edition with some real special news on a Thursday evening to talk about some very important things. It's off schedule, but we wanted to surprise our viewers at home with some real exciting news and a viewpoint about the upcoming tournament sponsored by the Hockey Monsters in Woodridge. So today, Stomps and I are going to be bringing to you this special edition intro, followed by a recap of the 9 teams that have entered into the Hockey Monsters tournament, which will begin this Sunday. And then Stomps and I are going to share with you our expert predictions on the games this Sunday. So you're in for a treat. So with that said, any comments there, Stomps?
Well, I was just going to say, firstly, big thanks to Eric and Frank for pulling this thing together. And if you read the Hockey Monsters app and all the information that's been put forth about the tournament, clearly it's been very well thought out. I mean, everything from, the games to, having volunteers to help with various aspects to, how we're going to not handshake after the games, how to hang out at the park, all of that stuff. The only thing they didn't cover was the bathroom situation. As you know, we have that porta potty right there. But I think there's that building over by the baseball field, I believe, may have restrooms. I'm not sure. I've never walked all the way down there. But, if you think about it, you're going to have a lot more people hanging around the area. So I thought about the restroom situation. What can I tell you?
Well, I already covered that. I thought I would just go to your house.
I probably do live the closest, but
you're not allowing people in there.
not that group of people. But anyway,
what about the Yellow Jackets? How are we going to respond? Are we going to be competing with the Yellow Jackets?
I don't think they will be a factor this Sunday because it's supposed to be in the upper 40s. So don't expect to see many of those insects flying around.
I've heard some concerns about the weather. Have you been able to monitor that?
Yeah, now all of a sudden they're putting a 40% chance of some light showers, just spotty showers in the area in the morning, of course, which is when most of the games will be happening. So we'll have to see what happens, play it by ear.
Yeah, and
I made the suggestion that people should, if they have leaf blowers, bring them with, because they could be used to potentially dry off the floor, right? Plus, we want to get rid of any leaves that are there first thing, and maybe bring some squeegees if you got those larger ones with kind of a push broom type squeegee. So we'll see. We'll be ready for it.
Yeah, and I think Eric and Frank, when they were on the show to discuss the tournament a few weeks ago, they said if they have to, they'll just push the tournament out. The risk with that is as you get into November, sometimes you're really bumping against the close of the season. But hey, we leave that to the guys who are getting paid the big bucks. You and I are just working on endorsements right now. Okay, so thanks for that, Stomps, and definitely appreciate recognizing both Eric and Frank. So why don't we get started? Let's do some team previews here. The first team, you want to take that one or do you want me to take that? Why don't we take that one together? The Goblin Sharks, led by Joe.
AKA the Foxhounds.
Right.
They were the topic of conversation certainly last night at Palatine. A lot of controversy with this team and its array of stars. Personally, I don't have an issue with it, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so first of all, first and foremost, I recognize people want to play with their friends. And, this is a social thing, right? Like we're out there, we hanging out with our friends. I also know on the same token, we're trying to build the sport up. And I know Eric and Frank have both been big ambassadors for that in their respective commissioner roles. I would say that, you know, listen, that's the favorite. Like, I mean, even to me, before I get into the schedule and everything, when you look at their top five guys in Chris Sheets, who's not only a wily veteran, um, he can play on both ends. He's an excellent passer. He's got great net front presence, and obviously him being Canadian and everything gives him an extra notch. Um, I think then you take Joe, who's he's a versatile player. He can play forward and he can play defense, and he knows a lot of the players here. So you got a guy in your organization who's a player scout on the team, followed by John Kelly, another incredible player, great shot, great visibility of the game, and then Mike Scalzitti, we all know him very well, led the Foxhounds for the past 8 or 9 seasons, and then Ronnie Coletta Jr. is just a phenomenal player with a great shot with good hockey sense. So, I mean, you take those five guys, Stomps, and they could easily, every single one of them could be the best player or the strongest player on any of those other 8 teams. So, you got to keep in mind that there's also things that happen in tournaments that people don't predict. Like you said, maybe the weather isn't going to be the greatest, and it slows the game down a little bit. Some of those players are not having their biggest games, but with the goaltending of Adam Bruno back there, I think that's sharp. And then they got some role players there with some veteran leadership with Ron Coletta Sr. And they got a new guy, Chris Hay, as well as Jeff Heeman, who's been around playing in in Woodridge for a while. So I tell you, Stomps, to be honest with you, that team's a force. That's a force.
I think the conditions will be a factor, but let's face it, the conditions are the same for everybody, right? And
very good point.
So yeah, I mean, I think. How about Jeff the Brain Heeman? I would like to christen that his nickname, playing off of Bobby the Brain Heenan. But anyway, yeah, I mean, yeah. So real good team. They're gonna be a force to be reckoned with. But
right.
When I looked at the entire picture of teams in this tournament, quite frankly, I was pretty impressed with many of the teams. I mean, there's some that I have no clue about, a few.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. But yeah, I think it's a good balance throughout this tournament. But we'll have to see how it plays out.
Why don't you tell us your impressions of Peter's Cheaters?
Peter's Cheaters, what a name! So we got Art Carpenter in goal. We've seen Art the last number of weeks at Woodridge, so he's a Woodridge veteran. Ryan Canoy, who we play with, of course, over there in Palatine last night. You saw Ryan up close and personal.
Scored the tying goal in a huge comeback.
Right. We'll cover that on another episode. But and Josh Kramer, a real good young player, two-way player. The return of Eddie Armstrong, haven't seen him in a while. The guy can really shoot the puck, and shooting is very important in Woodridge because of the smaller size. That could be a big factor. Dan Bruner. What else is left to be said about him? What did he have? About 10 assists last night in Palatine. Setting up Ganutek, Mr. 6 goals last night. Could have been 7 if the first shot of the game 10 seconds in would have counted. But there was controversy there. But he was lighting it up, tuning up for the tournament. The great Peter, he's going to be back there offering his solid D shot blocking capabilities and occasional offensive prowess. Yourself, you had a huge Woodridge game on Sunday. So I think you are tuning up for the tournament as well. And then Ryan Matera, who's a good defenseman. So I like your squad, top to bottom. I mean, it's made up of a lot of Palatine guys. Oh no, it's actually a good mix when you look at it.
I like to characterize it, and I'm looking forward to playing with all these guys. I like them all. I think they're real strong competitors. I'm looking forward to seeing how we gel. And one word comes to mind when I look at this roster. It's depth. Like, I do believe there's some depth there. I mean, I'm not going to say that we have one real superstar on the team, but I'll also say that, you put any four of those guys out, it's going to be competitive. And that's because of the depth. This next group, the Wrecking Balls, led by Brian Dudick. What are your impressions there? I got some, but I'd love to hear kind of up and down that lineup what you're thinking.
Well, Rocco is excellent goaltender, very quick.
Yeah.
He's right up there with the other top goaltenders in our game. Anthony Martino, another young guy, shifty, good shot, good offense. Brian, he's going to give you a solid effort on the back end. At least I think that's what he would play. I do not know Daniel Mueller. Are you familiar with him at all?
No, I'm not familiar. I may have seen him, but I can't comment on his game.
Now the next three guys are the secret weapons of this team. Cementek, Dre, and Scotty Tuhati.
Yeah.
They all bring a lot of offense to that team. So that makes them interesting right there. And then Sam and Tom on the back line, they can both shoot it really hard. So yeah, I mean, they could surprise.
I think it's a nice roster. I think Eric and Frank did a nice job with this one. I think they're going to be very, very competitive. And I would just say you got a mixture of pluggers on that team. You got great goaltending with Rocco, like you had said. And listen, Dre can block shots. I mean, so whoever faces him, he gets in the way of a lot of shots. So I'm again, it's a solid team. It's a solid team up and down the lineup. So
talk about the Immortal Kings, if you will.
Do you want me to take this one on?
Yeah.
Okay, so Immortal Kings. A couple of thoughts here with them is I looked at this lineup and I'll tell you, it's deadly. This lineup is absolutely deadly. And I'll tell you why. I have my impressions. I think that this lineup can surprise in the round robin and go 4-0. And let me tell you why. And I know we're going to get to predictions in a little while. Let's start with the experience in the back end and with Eric Garrity. If Eric is playing defense, there are some rumors that he may be playing goal, and I don't know if that's finalized. Have you heard anything about that?
First I'm hearing of that. So are you saying Steve's not going to – I thought Steve is playing.
I heard something, and, we'll get confirmation later on as we approach the date a little closer. Let's assume Steve's in net. Steve's a veteran goalie who can have some big games if he has a good, solid roster in front of him. He's just got to make sure he wears his glasses.
Exactly.
So Eric Garrity, seasoned defenseman, positionally sound, has a good shot when he uses it. Eddie Urban, arguably the best player in the entire tournament. He plays on both ends of the surface. He can shoot, he can pass, he can score, he can do everything. Then you have Carlo. Carlo's no secret to the world of ball hockey in the Chicago vicinity. Experience, excellent condition, on probably one of the best nutritional plans I've ever seen.
He's returning from his hockey quarantine.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You got Terry McMahon. This guy is conditioning like Carlo for his age. I mean, Terry, again, younger than Carlo, but he focuses on conditioning, but he has the stature, the long reach, the gritty determination. He's a two-way player.
I hate these guys who focus on conditioning. Hate them. Go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No problem. Lou Mangini, no secret. Not only hockey IQ off the charts, a versatile player. He can play forward when need be. He can play defense. And he's got a very deceptive, hard, accurate shot when he takes it. I like Lou on this team. I think he'll probably play defense. But, hey, what a guy like Steve Grass. I mean, veteran. You could speak about Steve Grass, I'm sure.
Oh, Steve's got a rocket of a shot. He's a little bit of sandpaper there. I don't know if we're going to be, when it comes down to face-offs, we always talked about his face-off capabilities, which are solid. So yeah, he brings a lot to the table for that team.
Right. Here's an interesting one with Timmy there in the lineup. I was under the impression that Timmy would not be able to attend the tournament due to the birth of their upcoming baby, and I'm surprised he's on the roster. He was a maybe, but if he makes it, listen, he's the all-time scoring leader in Woodridge. What does he have?
1,200 goals plus.
1,500?
1,200 plus.
Wow.
He's probably at 1,500 at this point.
Right. I mean, incredible player. You got no shortage of offense, conditioning, defense, goaltending. You got it all. And then you just to close out here with Chuck. I mean, a lot of guys in the Chicago ball hockey scene know Chuck. He's a great teammate, great guy. Comes to the rink with a smile on his face. Everybody loves Chuck. So just another great add to that team. Okay, talk to me about death, Stomps.
Yeah, the resurrection of death. All they need to do is bring back Fred Coletta, and that would be your death squad. But we had Billy on the show Sunday. Obviously a veteran goaltender. He's been there. He's won everything. He's gritty in the nets. You know what you get from Billy for sure. Chelly, tremendous D, still another veteran. He'll shoot it from everywhere and anywhere, and he'll be a big offensive factor. Frank's a question mark, I guess, with his knee, so we'll have to see. That would be a loss if he's unable to go for his leadership and his skills and such.
Just one thing with Frank before you move on. Our field-based reporters actually came back to me today to say that he was at the physician's office getting an injection in his knee today. So our paparazzi was all over that one.
Well, we'll see if it kicks in time and he's able to play.
Right.
Jeremy, very solid. Another primarily a D. They're very heavy on the D side. This team. So I think you're going to see some guys playing a little bit out of position potentially, and that could be a factor because Jeremy's very good defensively, very quick, good shot, good smarts. Sabs will play up front. Cheating on the face-offs as usual, giving you some sandpaper in front of the net and in the corners.
Right.
Eddie Switek, another solid D-man. So again, heavy on the D side, this team, and of course Joe Gleason. Now he's nursing a little bit of a leg. But I think you can manage that a little bit better in the smaller rink. So hopefully he's going to be a go. And of course his son Patty, who's a Woodridge and a Palatine staple at this point. Good speed up front. And the return of Jim Brill. I mean, I saw him last night for the first time since I think February. So it was good to see him out there. So yeah, I mean, that's a formidable team there. It's veteran. It's completely a veteran squad. And with Billy anchoring things, they could go far in this thing.
Yeah, well, I think you made a tremendous insight with just their back end strength, and maybe that's where they've put all their eggs here. And they say defense wins championships, so let's see what happens over there. All right, so this team is titled the D-Bags.
Yeah, and you know that was a Frank thing, calling us the D-Bags. So We are the Aztecs,
Okay.
the mighty Aztec nation in Mexico back in the 14 and 1500s. Great agriculture, built those pyramids. So yeah, we got a solid foundation. But go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. And as I look at the lineup up and down, I apologize in advance. There's two guys on this team I don't know very well or at all. But let me just talk to you about Kevin Adams here for a second. I've been playing with Kevin Adams and Woodridge for quite a few years. He's a solid goaltender. I mean, he stands up to the shot. He's confident in between the pipes. Love
Big,
having him as a goalie. So I think,
very big size, a lot of
yeah,
size.
I think this team starts off very strong in the back end with a good goalie. Um, you can never say enough about the youth and what they bring to this team here, the Aztecs. Gabe, we know him very well. We've played with him on the Raiders. He's been a prolific scorer in both Woodridge as well as Palatine. He plays in USA junior team. Love having him in the league. I think he's going to bring a lot of passion and energy to this team. Kenny, if he shows up, my understanding is he's not 100%.
I believe it's a work conflict, at least for this Sunday, which is, you have work, you have family, you have hockey. What's most important? I kid, but yeah, that would if he's unable to go Sunday, that's right out of the gate will be a big loss for us.
Well, if he is there, I'll tell you, he's a great guy to have on the team. He's versatile. He can play forward and defense. Great shot. I've even seen him play in net before.
Great chemistry with Gabe.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Chris Bauer. I mean, another Raider. He comes from he's a second generation player. Excellent defenseman. Moves the puck very well up and down. He's gonna be a force. I haven't seen him recently, so I can't comment on his recent game. But we've seen Miles, and Miles is speedy.
Second generation again.
It's another second generation player. It's going to be interesting. I've seen Miles play in net in Woodridge. I've seen him play in net a couple of times in Palatine. His speed is, it's undeniable. And when I look at him on your roster over here, I just wonder, the one thing is he going to be able to use all that speed in this small rink? Just because you go end to end, I mean, it's hard to go end to end here, but.
Well, you could say that about any of the fast guys, Eddie Urban, a lot of them.
Exactly.
Miles has got great offensive skills. He's got a great backhander, and that's just a small thing. But so many guys don't know how to shoot a backhander, or they shy away from it because it's not their strong side. Miles has a great backhander.
Right. And then obviously having Dante on that squad brings you guys a fountain of experience. I would say that his competitive nature, we saw it on the show on episode 5. He talked about how he loves winning and he hates losing, and that's pretty much kind of his fuel. But he's an experienced guy out there, so he'll make good decisions. And then obviously, goes without saying, Stomps, having you as a co-host and just understanding your sense of appreciation for the game. I was actually in a conversation earlier with one of the ball hockey guys and someone you and I both know very well. I'll leave that kind of my sources undisclosed, but the comment he made about you was just a guy who makes all the right decisions, distributes the puck appropriately, and just cool. And I think having your veteran presence on the team will just magnify the position and where you guys will finish. I would just say the big wild card with you is, are you going to play forward or defense? That's going to be the question. So,
we shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. And then obviously Frank D. I mean, Frank D is, he's from, I think he's from Niles or one of those neighborhoods.
You said Gurnee, I thought.
No, he plays up in Gurnee regularly.
Oh, plays in Gurnee.
He's kind of joined Woodridge this past season. He's tough. I'll tell you, he's tough to cover as a defenseman. I'm going to tell you, he gets good presence in front of the net. He has a good release. He's a good guy and an excellent teammate. Hard to play against. Love to have on your team. I think he brings an element of depth to your squad. And I think he knows those last two guys, Anthony and Richard Young. I think they're all kind of, or one of them and him know each other from Gurney. So I think you got a pretty solid team with a combination of speed, goaltending, and veteran presence. And I think that's a big element into winning championships. This team, I don't think I can say much at all about the Dolphins.
Well, yeah, neither can. And it depends if it's the same or some of the same guys who faced us on the Toros at the January finals tournament, which we beat them. I want to say the score was 2-1. So, it was a tough game, obviously. Obviously, at least Steve Kamak there at the end. Isn't that Fuzzy? The
Yeah.
defender that plays at Woodridge. So we know him. Good defenseman. Do you know Tim?
I do not know any
Is
of
that a name that you're familiar with?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on anybody else there because I don't know any of the names. So that's always interesting because my understanding is these guys play in the Quad Cities on a rink similar to Woodridge. I think a lot of 3-on-3, so maybe it's similar to Gurney. I don't know, possibly. So they're it's tough when you don't know somebody. You don't know what to expect, right? So
Right.
that'll be interesting in itself. Yeah.
And who knows? We don't know these players. I mean, they could be the ones that compete with the Goblin Sharks over here. I mean, another team I'm going to tell you, I'm a little bit in the dark on the Porpoises here.
Well, we know Jordan in goal. He plays at Woodridge. He hasn't been there the last few weeks, but he's a younger goalie. He's a good goalie. Younger like Rocco, right? Quick in goal. So that's good for them. I mean, I don't, again, the rest of the guys except, John Trapani and Gerard Grabowski there at the bottom. Two of our Woodridge guys, veterans, really good players. They joined the league this year, so I can't. It's hard to comment on them. I don't know if they're a spinoff of the Dolphins, and there are other guys from Quad Cities. I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because we haven't been doing our job as investigative reporters.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard, keeping up with, like you said, preparing for these episodes, preparing for Woodridge, Palatine, and then leaving the state. We got to hire more staff. And if anybody knows a multimedia person out there, please let me know. I'm in talks with Latham out there. So I'm looking for a really good multimedia guy and some investigative journalism, like Stomps was saying. Let's close out together with Boom Booms. You know these guys, Stomps?
South Side. John in goal. He'll be vaping in between periods. And no, I like John. I mean, the team, when I've played on his team at Woodridge, we generally win. So he's a good goaltender. Do you know who Alex Quain is?
The name looks so familiar, but I don't know who he is. I can't comment.
I'm not sure. We know the second Alex there. Now he's had knee injury issues, so I don't have an update on him. He was not at Palatine last night. He could be just resting for the tournament, and then he'll come out and be the usual Alex that he is.
Oh, he's a force. He's a force.
Anna Nevin is got to be Steve's sister, right?
I'm suspecting that as well.
Don't know much about her. I don't think I've met her. We know Danielle near and dear on the Team Dynamo. You know what she brings to the table. I mean, she's very smart, doesn't make bad decisions with the ball, loves to do that cycling, and tough to stop with that cycling that she's able to do. Eileen, I've been completely impressed with her at Woodridge. I don't know what to say. I mean, she scores goals, she sets up goals, she completely belongs, right? I mean, definitely not out of place, even a little bit. So she's really excellent.
I've been playing with Eileen for several years, obviously on and off with her recent move, and then now she's back in the Chicago area, and then she's rejoined Woodridge. I can't say enough good things about her, to be honest with you. I see her two-way game, her hockey sense, her passing is just incredible. I
Yeah,
mean, she loves the game. You see it on her face. She's highly competitive. I think we're very fortunate to have her in this tournament and to have her in Woodridge. And I look to her as a big leader. She's the GM of this squad. She's put it together. So kudos to her for coming back to Woodridge and then taking such an instrumental role here. So we look forward to seeing success for you this weekend, Eileen, but not if you're playing us.
and you have Erica Carlson, former Raider, played with us at Palatine. Her nickname is Boom Boom, so I believe the team is named obviously after her. So unless I'm getting that wrong, but I don't think I am. But Erica's, I think she moved out of town for work and perhaps has come back to the Chicago area, I believe. I don't know the entire story, but it would be good to see her again because she was a teammate on the Raiders.
Yeah, it'll be great. And then Jeremy Worgan. I mean, he's another terrific, versatile player. Lots of speed. He's been out to Palatine even yesterday. We enjoy seeing Jeremy out there. He can play goal. He can play forward. He can play defense. I mean, he's a great guy to have.
I don't enjoy him.
No,
We played against him last night, and he was on D and I was on O, and it was like,
yeah,
anytime he wanted to just get the ball and go around and go end to end. See you later, Jeremy.
yeah.
He wouldn't take it easy on an old guy like
having him on my team. I think, I still have to chat with him about a little exchange him and I had when I ran into Joe Coletta yesterday. I think he didn't understand that was an accident in a scrimmage, but because I like the guy so much, I'm going to let that one go. But he's definitely a great guy and a competitive nature. Larissa, she played for Dynamo, right?
Right. She's had a cup of coffee with Dynamo, absolutely. and that alone puts the stature way up there. So absolutely. And what can you say about Steve Nevin, right? Just a fantastic guy, fantastic player. He's going to be somebody to watch in this tournament, I think.
He definitely is. And, I don't even know if he's ever going to watch this video because of his lack of social media presence. I hope that, when we send out this link to this video via the Dynamo text chat, that he actually clicks on it and actually watches the video. But definitely, I echo all your comments. Bridget McMahon.
Is that Terry's sister?
I believe so. And when they were up in a tournament this past winter, I think Danielle had a photo of her whole team. And I believe that Bridget was in that photo, and we were able to connect her to Terry. So if she's Terry's sister, and, they probably great conditioning, both of them.
Was that the tournament where all the ladies went and played at ice? It was in the winter.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. Yeah.
So listen, the Stomps. I mean, the previews have been useful for me. I mean, again, I wish we knew more about the Dolphins as well as the Porpoises. We're in for something exciting. Let's talk for a few minutes and then close for the viewers. For those of you at home watching, you are here watching with us, joining Stomps and I in your living room as we do a special edition of Neutral Zone here on Thursday, October 15th, in preparation of Sunday for the Hockey Monsters tournament. So here's the actual lineups for the game, here's the schedule for the games on Sunday. So game 1, Peters Cheaters versus the Unknown Dolphins. It's hard to predict on that.
I'd say toss up. That's kind of weak. I'm sure the viewers are saying, come on, give us something. But I don't know. if I'm rooting for anybody, it's for Peter's Cheaters. Those are my guys, right? Our guys across the various leagues. So
Well, the one thing we'll say is I'm sure the Dolphins are going to be younger than us, but I'll say Peter's Cheaters will be ready. We will be prepared for the game. We'll be drawing up plans. We will be there on time, start on time. That's one thing you can count on with Peter's Cheaters.
wow,
Goblin Sharks versus the Porpoises.
got to go with the Sharks. Unless the Porpoises are a complete revelation. I think the early starting time though hurts the Sharks a little bit. Some of those guys, let's be honest here, if we're being honest, some of them aren't exactly punctual. So, and as Eric said, he's not waiting for anybody. He's going to start these games right on time. Now, what if it's raining, right? Well, that could be a factor, and that could help if games are pushed back or whatever the case. We'll have to see what happens.
I'm gonna go with and again, this is no disrespect to anybody on that game.
No.
Listen, we're the media. We can make predictions. We're not here to create animosity, but I'm going to say that game is not going to be any closer than 5 goals plus margin.
Wow.
Goblin Sharks. So Death versus Peter's Cheaters.
Whew, that's a tough one because your team will have that little rest in between. So you're going to be warmed up, right? But you'll have a game under your belt. So I think look for a fast start from Peter's Cheaters, like in the first period. Then a little fatigue might be kicking in, like halfway through the game, where Death might be able to take a stranglehold after that. So, and again, is Frank going to be there or not? Missing one person could be a huge factor in these tournament games because of the smaller rosters.
Yeah.
So
it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Again, I can just say we have a scouting report out on Death. We understand what they're made of from the back end to the front end. We know what they have in goaltending with Billy Jacques, incredible goalie. Like you said earlier in your analysis of the team, they're very strong on the blue line. I mean, our forwards are going to have a tough time with their blue line. So I don't know how that one's going to turn out, but I think your assessment is fair. I hope Peter's Cheaters comes out strong and doesn't tire out, but you just never know. But let's get to the 9:40 game. Again, the Goblin Sharks versus the Dolphins.
Interesting that the Goblin Sharks get the two, I think, related teams out of the Quad City area, if I got it correct. I'm not 100% sure on the Porpoises. But the Dolphins, if it was this similar team that faced us in the tournament finals in January, I think that would be a very, very good game. But I'm going to go with the Goblin Sharks by at least 2.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have anything to add on that one. Okay, so let's go to Porpoises, who will be playing their second game against Peter's Cheaters, who will be playing their third game within 2.5 hours.
This, in a lot of ways, is your Raiders Foxhounds game, right? So we know what that. Oh wait, which game are we on?
We're at the 10:20. The Porpoises.
I'm sorry, I moved ahead.
Yeah, no problem.
I can't get it out of my mind looking at that game. Wow, so that's your third game
in less than 2.5 hours.
That is. I'll tell you what. That is where, that's where veteran presence comes into play. So, not knowing a lot about the Porpoises, you guys on your third game, that'll be tough. That will admittedly be very tough. Clearly, that was probably a Frank move to put you guys in 3 games in rapid succession like that. So, I
Well,
mean, what do you think? How would you feel? I mean, a third game. I know how I would feel in the third game. I mean, you'd be starting to get sore. You have that. Where you're cooling down, but after the second game, and then you're asked to gear it up again for a third game. That's tough.
yeah. You know what? To be honest with you, personally speaking, I'm actually very happy with our schedule. I like it just because of the distance that I have to travel. Both Dan Bruner and I come from really far, so it's kind of good for us that you
Yeah,
start early, you end early. I don't want to be there from 7:40 a.m. until 3:40. You know what I mean? That's a full
yeah.
work day. So I'm happy with that. So one of the things very few things I'd like to thank Frank for. No, I'm just kidding, Frank. But no, I appreciate that. I want to get that over with. But let's get to the one that you were
That's a good
really
way to
anxious.
look at it, though. That's a good way to look at it.
Let's get to the one that you were kind of anxious about
Yeah.
talking about.
Well, like I said, rivalry game, um, goaltender rivals, players on the floor rivals. Now, this is going to be the Goblin Sharks' third game of the morning. But youth, their youth. I don't see that impacting them too much. Um, death again,
Death is only, if I'm seeing this correctly, they're only playing 2 games on Sunday.
right? Because there's some teams that only have
Yeah.
two.
Okay. All right.
They're one of them.
Yeah. I'm going to go with, and maybe this is a motivation for Death, but I'm going to go with Goblin Sharks by, I'm going to pick them by +3. Yeah.
I see more of a 1-goal game here. This could go right down to the wire.
I just think that my personal view on this, I think we have goaltending in favor of Death. I think Billy Jacques just brings that veteran presence and just technically sound goalie. I think he just brings a lot, and I think that he doesn't let up many goals. So I think that it'll be a low scoring affair. But
And
he'll
I
go
think
barrage. He'll get
I
his
think,
share of shots. He will get a lot of shots, though.
but I think he can excel in the cooler conditions.
You're right.
If this was going to be warmer weather, that could be an issue for him.
Agreed.
So I think the weather is going to be a good thing for Billy,
Right.
temperature wise, anyway.
Let's go to the Aztecs against Boom Boom.
Yeah, that's an interesting start for us to play the Southsiders.
That's your first game, 11:40.
Can you believe that? Yeah.
Are you going to get there early?
Oh, I'll be there earlier, watching and helping however I can. I don't know that I'm going to get there for your first game or the second game, but I'll be there early. Yeah, I think we know for the most part what to expect. I mean, the Boom Booms are going to be a formidable foe. We're going to miss Kenny, but hey, next man up, right? We're one of the few teams in this tournament that has 9 on our roster, 9 runners. So then we'll be down to 8 like everybody else. So we'll have 2 lines. I expect a good effort. I like the fact that Gabe is our captain, young guy. He's taking command. He's sending out motivational texts about what we should be looking to do in these games, and I love it. I've been there, done that, through the years. So
Right.
I'm happy to surrender the reins to the younger.
How do you feel about the fact that you have a game right after back-to-back against the Immortal Kings?
Well, yeah, that'll be tough. Give me the Immortal Kings again. Which team is that again?
I'll show you.
It's hard to remember the teams.
This Eric's team.
Boy. Man, yeah, that'll be a tough on the back-to-back there. Very tough for us, I'm sure.
Right. You'll be facing a well-rested Immortal Kings that hasn't taken on any games with a talented squad.
We'll have to lean on Kevin Adams in goal, I think, to prevail.
Yeah. Well, like you guys, two back-to-backs right after that, the Boom Booms face the Wrecking Balls. Let's go to the Wrecking Balls here. Okay, that's that great
Yeah,
team. That's a good team.
yeah. I think after we defeat the Boom Booms, they'll be looking for a little get on the board. So I'm going to go with the Boom Booms.
Right. I'm gonna go with the Boom Booms there as well. And then at 140, we got the Boom Booms versus the Immortal Kings. Again, the Immortal Kings.
Yeah, that's a tough team. Yeah, I would look for. I'm gonna go with the Immortal Kings in that one. Boom Booms on the second of a back to back. That's tough.
That's tough. And I think that's the only reason why. I mean, if you kind of take those games in isolation where both teams come well rested, I'm picking the Boom Booms. But I am going to tell you that to me, of all the games that we've reviewed so far, I know we got two more to go. That's the most intriguing matchup, the Boom Booms versus the Immortal Kings. If I was to pick one game that I'm not going to miss, that's going to be the one that I'm going to be tuned into. That's going to be a really nice matchup. And then we got the Wrecking Balls against the Aztecs. So that's your final game of the day against the
That's
Wrecking Ball.
right. That's right. Um, yeah, they're a good team. You know, they have. Remember, I mentioned that trio of offensive guys on that team. Um, so we're going to have to buckle down on the back end. But we'll have the two games under our belt, then a couple hours of rest. I think we can gear up then, certainly be competitive.
And then we're closing the day off with the Immortal Kings playing against the Wrecking Balls.
Yeah. So the Wrecking Balls that's their back to back.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that we'll see on the Wrecking. I think, you know what? I think the Immortal Kings will come out on top there.
Yeah, that's a good team.
So, you know, we'll have
This
to.
has been so hard. I mean, when I saw all these teams, when they came out. Um, was it on Tuesday? I think when we saw it.
Yeah, I think Tuesday evening we got the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I started thinking about it in my head, and I said, "Wow, this is overall, it's a fairly well balanced tournament. You're going to see a lot of good competitive games, I think."
Listen, I agree, and I think you said it best at the beginning of the show here. You know, you can't say it enough. You got to congratulate Eric and Frank. Eric, I think Frank worked a lot on the schedule, and Eric kind of worked through balancing out the teams. And you know, maybe I'm missing other people that were part of this, but just a special acknowledgement to Eric and Frank. You know, they don't get paid for this kind of work. They're doing it because they care about the sport. And you know, you're always going to have guys in the league, outside the league, observers that are going to be critical and wish you did it this way. I wish you did it that way. I know we talked about the what's that team, the Goblin Sharks, and the strength and the advantage that they have over other teams. I think, you know, out of the goodness of Eric's heart, I'm sure he got like a ton of requests for people wanting to play together. I think, listen, I picked them. I'll continue to pick them until the last whistle is blown. I do special acknowledgement going out to a couple of teams that I think are the dark horses. So as we kind of close out over here, let me just tell you, I'm a big fan of Death. Like, I have to tell you, if Frank is healthy, I think Death can really, really make some noise. And despite me picking the Goblin Sharks over them in the round robin, I think when you get a back end with Chelly, the veteran leadership of Billy, Frank, and the grittiness and determination of Sabatini, and then again Joe and Patty, just to add role players. I think if once you get deep into the playoffs, I think a team like Death can make some noise there. So I think in the round robin, I'm going to go with the Goblin Sharks clearing the table. And then just last thing I'll say, I think the Immortal Kings bring some real talent as well. And you know, listen, all these predictions could be wrong, and we could have another team that comes out of this. But that's kind of how I feel about the tournament. I just wanted to sort of pay a tribute and a thanks and appreciation to Frank and Eric for all the hard work they put into it.
Yeah, no doubt. Hopefully, I would encourage people to volunteer and help out. They're looking for officials, goal goal judges, statisticians, you name it. And we may need to use a little maintenance work, depending on how the floor is and all of that. But so that's my encouragement to everybody out there, is to chip in.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say this, Stomps, in closing, for those at home watching, you are watching a special edition, special episode of the Neutral Zone with Stomps and Nav. Just to say, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Numbers are starting to trickle up. And like you said earlier, Stomps, Eric's really trying his best to keep this safe environment for everybody. I just encourage everybody to continue to be safe, continue to be responsible. This has been a really bright spot for all of us in Chicago, having the ability to continue to play hockey during this pandemic. So let's make the best of it. We already get to do something that we love. So, Stomps, any last words before I close up here?
No, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, Bruner said it best last night. He said playing hockey is the best part of his week right now, because all it is being home and working, and it's a respite for sure. So let's pull this off safely and enjoy it. Win, lose, or draw, and yeah,
I agree.
really looking forward to it.
So thanks, Stomps. And for everybody at home, thanks for tuning in to the Neutral Zone. This is available on YouTube. If you get the opportunity to watch, we love having you visit our YouTube page. Please make sure you click on the subscribe button and the bell so that you're notified when new videos are uploaded. So good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thanks again.